Hello, Angry Spork here with yet another Batman Day vlog. However, this year also happens to be the 30th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series. And as you can see, I'm still stuck as a cartoon, so why not reveal some facts about the classic cartoon you might not know about straight from the series Bible. In this case, the Bible is what sets the standards for the series as a whole. How the characters act, what their histories are, their environment, the world around them, the overall tone, what they may and may not include. And you might think, well, it's Batman, there are going to be some standards that are just going to make it in there. Though things can change over the course of production. For example, while they did more or less intend to not cover Batman's origin, and they mostly succeeded, save for a few references and a dream sequence or two, they also didn't originally include the bat signal. If the cops needed to get a hold of Batman, they'd have to wait for him to call them. And they say Bruce has personality issues. Anyway, here are some facts about Batman, the animated series, you might not already know. Sometimes things established in the Bible don't quite make it into the series, or they get tweaked along the way. For example, Dr. Hugo Strange. In the animated series, he was a one-off villain that created a machine that could basically read your mind. But according to the Bible, not only did it seem, at least to me, that he was going to maybe appear in more than one episode, they seem to want to lean a bit more into the whole making monsters thing he's been known for. Batgirl is briefly described, but instead of being a college student that dressed up in a bat-like costume to rescue her dad, she was a high school student that worked part-time at the library and started fighting crime so she could meet Batman. And yet, that's not the worst thing that could happen between these two. And also, a couple of character designs were different. Robin kind of looked a bit younger in these designs, though still supposed to be a college student. And then you have the Joker, who mostly looks the same, except, well, that chin. I think they were going for a J shape to his profile, but kinda glad they changed that one. Could you put a coat hanger on that thing? Yeesh!
I'm gonna use your head for a bowling ball.
But the biggest change you might notice is that of Officer Renee Montoya. While she appeared in several episodes, there was only one that really focused on her as a character, but beyond that she didn't get much development. The Bible describes her as having grown up in Crime Alley, and she developed mixed feelings about the Batman, respecting him but not really liking his vigilantism. And most notably, she had a husband, a cop that died in the line of duty. Again, none of this stuff really came up in the animated series, and I guess it doesn't really mean that much to her comics counterpart, who is most notably not into dudes. There were also villains they had ideas for that they'd intended to include, but they never made it into the series. Calendar Man, for one, and as corny as his gimmick might be, I think for at least a couple episodes throughout the series, he could have been a really fun character to include. They even toyed around with including the Gentleman Ghost, with possibly an open-ended mystery as to whether or not he's actually a ghost, or maybe someone with some elaborate trickery in use. In fact, the episode that introduced Zatanna even had the ghost as the primary villain, framing her for the theft of the money that she used in her act. There were also some villains that seemed completely original to the series that never got used. A character called the Architect, a criminal mastermind who escaped Stonegate after the walls miraculously exploded. Not exactly something I'd call a miracle, but whatever. Then he goes on to break into security buildings and have a fight with Batman on a submarine. Because when you look back at the show, one thing you definitely notice is that Batman did not do enough fighting on submarines. I don't know if this Architect had anything to do with Scott Snyder's version that he co-created with Kyle Higgins, but if there is, I haven't found it. There was even an episode about modern-day pirates robbing ocean liners, led by a man going by Blackbeard. And while some of the episodes described did make it into the series, though tweaked to some capacity, there were others that just didn't happen. Now, some episodes have been described, like by Alan Burnett, that never made it to air, like the history of the gun that killed the Waynes from its production to its destruction, or the really dark one where Batman was being brainwashed by what are essentially neo-Nazis and almost led a huge act of terrorism. Yeesh. But as far as the Bible is concerned, There's stuff like where Gotham Stadium's Cap Day is being used by Mad Hatter to manipulate the populace and send Batman through a huge Wonderland-like scenario while he robs the city blind. One where Two-Face has been stealing trios of items, manages to capture Batgirl so he can lure Batman and Robin into a trap where he plans to kill one of the three. There's a really interesting sounding one where Clayface and a group of thieves he's hired invade Wayne Industries to steal some files, and Bruce Wayne is there and unable to change into Batman. Then there's this one, where Scarecrow uses the Gotham water supply and TV and radio transmissions to make the entire city terrified of Batman, leaving the Dark Knight to have to fight through citizens and cops out to get him so he can find the antidote. So there are some facts about the animated series you might not have known. Did you already know about some of this stuff? Did you even know that the animated series Bible existed? Are there things that I left out that you think you know better than me? Huh? Leave a comment below, and I hope you enjoyed learning something new or rehearing stuff you might have already known. I'm the Angry Spork, and man, have I got issues.
Boy, did you get a wrong number. Leave your message.